Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Rich Martini. I hope you're doing well and I hope you're having an amazing day. Guys, I am so excited and so anxious and so nervous in the best but also in the worst way possible about today's episode. And before we dive into the things that I would like to talk to you about, I would just like to say that I am praying to every single God that is out there that my phone stays positioned the way it is for the entirety of the episode because it is begging, like it is holding on to a thread. So please don't fall. I need you. And before we dive into today's topic, would like to talk to you about my day and just how excruciating it has been, and to make things better for myself because I apparently, I don't know, am my biggest enemy. I am wearing pants that are not meant for sitting in. And I just hope I can handle it for the entirety of the episode because I really like the fit. This is my Harry Styles fit, and consider this foreshadowing to what we're going to talk about today. But yes, so today, guys, I would just like to say that I apologize if my train of thought is inconsistent, incoherent, and is just all over the place. But I promise you, I have a good excuse. I have not slept. So basically, yesterday, I went out with my housemates to play pool. Originally, the idea was to play bowling, and I was totally down for this because, for whatever reason, I'm really good at bowling. I don't know how that happened, I don't know why it happened, but I am good at bowling. And then every single bowling alley was booked for whatever reason. Bowling is really in right now. So we decided to go play pool. And as good as I am at bowling, is how much I actually suck at pool. I like genuinely am embarrassed every single time I need to like hit the ball because I miss, and it's just why am I wasting my time here? But it's about the experience. It's about spending time together rather than playing well. But the thing is, I'm a very competitive person and I want to perform well in every single thing I do. So that was definitely challenging. And then we went to a bar, and then I went home, and my goal was to record this episode yesterday evening, but then it was already past midnight, and I was like, oh, maybe I should leave it for tomorrow while my mind is sharp. No, my mind is really not sharp. My mind is honestly the dullest it has been in a long time, and I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth today. So if it makes no sense, it is what it is. But I was really debating, should I record now? Should I record tomorrow? Because the thing is, my dear friends, my divas, my baddies, what time is it now? I need to leave for the airport in 4 hours. And I am again not traveling directly to the Eindhoven airport because my flight is early in the morning. I need to again do my well developed and experienced scheme of going from where I live to Amsterdam Schiphol Airport, stay there for 5 hours, and then leave for Eindhoven. And then just please pray for me because when I did it over Christmas, because the thing is, this is not my first rodeo. I have done this many times, but last time I did it was the first time I experienced jet lag, and that's why throughout my entire stay in Bulgaria, I was unable to sleep. So I'm really hoping, like, I literally went out and I bought a sleep mask. So I'm hoping this helps me sleep on the train and on the plane because I really need those 3 hours I can get, because today I just simply could not sleep because I was so anxious about my upcoming trip, and I was also anxious about whether or not I will actually get the chance to record the podcast because I don't want to bring my microphone with me. I'm only traveling with a backpack, and I this is my most prized possession, and I am keeping it as safe as I keep my eyes. This is a saying in Bulgarian. And basically, I don't want to do anything to potentially endanger the life of the microphone. And that's why I was like, you know what? I will not travel with the microphone. I'll just record one extra episode to have for next week while I'm gone. And the thing is, I really wanted to record yesterday, and I was like, it's okay. I'll just sacrifice 1 hour of sleep so that I can do this and just peacefully, have my preparation for traveling. But the thing is, as I was journaling, and I was like, I'll journal and then I'll record a podcast. As I was journaling, my eyes were closing involuntary. They were begging me to go to sleep. And I was like, you know what? I shouldn't ignore my body's signals. I should just go to bed. And the second I went to bed, I was as awake as I could possibly be, because I was so anxious about whether every single step of my very precise plan is going to work out. Because the thing is, my dear divas, it started snowing again. And if you have not listened to my episode, which was 2 weeks ago by the time you hear this, life really, no, it was more than 2 weeks ago, doesn't matter. If you have not listened to the episode in which I tell the story of how I had to travel with a layover from Bulgaria to the Netherlands and Serbia, and because of the snow my flight was canceled and I had the worst trip of my life, so that high key traumatized me. And now it snowing the entire day has really triggered something in me, and I've just been so incredibly stressed. And I really, really am praying that everything goes well, everything goes according to plan. I don't want any canceled trains, I don't want any canceled flights, I don't want any delays. I just want to get home in one piece as according to schedule. I don't think that's too much to ask for, but we shall see. So this is something that's been on my mind since yesterday. And then I was so incredibly concerned of whether or not I will get to record the podcast, because I really wanted to record a podcast. But the thing is, I came home from work an hour ago, and I had to pack, I had to do laundry, I had to cook, and I would love to nap, because yesterday, because of all this anxiety, I could not blink. Don't listen to what my fitness band says, because this bitch is gaslighting me into believing that I have slept 6 hours. That is simply not true. I remember what I did exactly every single second of this night, and I can just tell you that for 2.5 hours, I was in my mind, it was like a broken record simply going, wait, what is the lyric? I've been going stateside, kissing my Swedish boyfriend over FaceTime boost. That's my ego boost. This for 2.5 hours. That song, it went platinum in my household. I love that song. Did I need it to play on repeat in my mind for 2.5 hours from 2 a.m. to 4:30 a.m.? No, I really did not. And mind you, I decided to play guided meditation that is going to help me ease into my sleep. No, Zara Larson was just the voices in my head, and nothing that guided meditation was teaching me or like guiding me through helped, because I was like, girl, summer isn't over yet, but please, I want the day to be over. I want to rest. And then I just simply could not. So it has been a very long evening, a very long night, because also every single time, because the thing is, if I wake up in the middle of the night, I need to know. It's like a physical need for me. Like imagine Maslow's pyramid. That's a basic need for me. That's a physical survival necessity for me. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I need to know what time it is that I wake up. If I don't find out what time it is, I will not be able to ease into my sleep again. So I what is going on? Is someone doing reconstruction in my literally in my wall? Okay. So basically every single time I wake up and I look at the clock and I know what time I need to wake up, I just basically start calculating how many hours I have to sleep. And this time around, I was like, okay, I have 4 hours. It's okay. That should be enough. Then I was like, I have 3 hours. It's okay. That should be enough. But I was stressing so much about the fact that in the next 24 hours, I will not be sleeping. I couldn't fall asleep. And then I spent the entire day working, and now all I want from life is to take a nap. But I am terrified that, because the thing is, knowing that I have to leave and knowing that I need to run for a train, need to catch a plane, need to everything, all of this, and everything out of this is outside of my control. When it comes to traveling, I'm not the type of person who's like, those are things that are outside of my control, so I'm simply not going to. I'll just let them be. No, Diva. I stress. I I just stress. And I am hoping everything goes well. I'm hoping I manage to nap at least for an hour because in Schiphol, I plan on studying. Divas. I plan on studying. Anyway, so now that I have explained to you in what mental state I'm approaching this episode, and again, mind you, jeans that are not meant for sitting, they are like really suffocating me right now, but everything for the fit, you know? So, what I wanted to start off today's episode with was the fact that, as you can tell by my outfit, and for those of you who get the reference, you get the reference. And yes, I made this, and yes, this is what actually the sleeves look like because this was my very first crochet project, and I just simply don't know how to measure. But it's okay. It's okay. It's giving very Ariana Grande like, you know. So basically, Harry Styles, for those of you who I don't want to say have been living under a rock, but are unaware, is coming out with a new album. He is releasing the album in exactly uh, exactly the month in which is my birthday, which I just perceive as his gift to me. And I have been waiting for that album ever since he dropped Harry's House. Harry's House is one of my favorite musicians, and then when he announced a tour, yours truly, like if you guys, I believe it's episode 3. If you have not listened to episode 3, let me just quickly mention the fact that when Love on Tour was happening, the second round, I opposed the release of Harry's House. I went to see him in Amsterdam for 3 nights in a row. And I know that's excessive, but I just simply had to. It was my faith, it was my duty, it was my calling in life. And I had the best time of my life, and it remains such a fun memory because the thing is, this 2023 was the year in which I first started experiencing concerts. For those of you who don't know, am Bulgarian. I grew up in Bulgaria, and I didn't really get the chance to travel a lot before I moved to Western Europe. So, well, not that I really travel a lot right now because I'm always working or always at university, but you get the point. I had been a few places, but not a lot. And the thing is, no one ever comes to Bulgaria or well, recently artists have been experimenting with pit stops in their tours in Eastern Europe, but that was simply not the case when I was growing up. So, concert culture is not something I really got to familiarize myself with until I moved here, because this is Western Europe, and specifically, this is the Netherlands. the capital was Amsterdam. A quick geographical lesson for those of you who might not know this. So basically, every tour has a date in the Netherlands, most likely in Amsterdam. So when I came here and I started making money in euro rather than in lev, which rest in peace the lev. But basically, when they became more attainable to me financially and geographically, I could not stop going to concerts. It was so, I would literally, in 2023, there was a period of time of 2 months, I would say, or a month and a half, in which I spent, if not every week, then every other week, at least one night in Amsterdam, because I was going to concerts. Because I am nothing if I'm not a fangirl. I love music. I love listening to live music, and just concert going became such an expensive hobby, but just it made me feel alive. And when Harry announced that he's going on tour, was exhilarated because I was like, oh my God, this is the very first big concert that I went to, and I would love to experience it again because this is one of my favorite musicians. And just the culture surrounding Harry Styles, the fandom, is very positive and very welcoming. And to this day, one of my most favorite memories in life is when, during the first day in which I went to Harry's house, because the thing is, I was planning on going only one day, and then just there were resale tickets, and I just bought them last minute. Um, Listen to episode 3 if you're interested in the details. But one of my most favorite moments in life is when, during that first evening that I went to see Love on Tour, he played Fine Line, which to me, I don't want to go into details right now because I don't want to cry, but Fine Line for me was a life saving song in the very literal sense of life saving. And when he was playing it, I was just like waving my flashlight like this, and you could see tears rolling down my face. I was sobbing. This was such a full circle moment for me, and it meant everything to me because such a life saving song that I got to experience live, and uh, I I was taken aback by the whole experience. I was overwhelmed in the best possible way. And what I mean by the fact that it's a very welcoming and friendly culture is the fact that people saw me cry because I was an emotional wreck, and then they just held me. Strangers I had never met before, strangers I don't even remember what they look like, they just came up to me to check on me, and they were like, "Are you okay?" and just started hugging me. And that was one of the most beautiful human experiences I have ever had. So obviously, when he announced his current tour, I was like, I would love the chance to go and see him again. But the thing is, what is happening right now? Because here's the thing. Like I mentioned, I grew up in Eastern Europe. For me, it is not foreign that um, tours are exclusive in terms of geography. What they mean by world tour, or like a European leg of the tour, means just Western Europe. So I know that this is just the culture of touring, um, but now, what he basically is doing, he's doing residencies in certain cities for, let's say, a week. Or like in New York, he's doing it for 30 days. And in Amsterdam, so in Europe, the cities he's visiting are Amsterdam and London. And that means, because the thing is, Love on Tour had many stops. It was a very long running tour. He had many stops in many cities for many days. So it was attainable for more people in terms of geography to visit it, and you had more options. Whereas now, with two European cities being in the cards, that means that the entire continent, but also including people from other continents, are fighting, quote unquote, for the same dates, because now it's way more exclusive. And that makes, like, for example, for me, Amsterdam is 2.5 hours away. For me, it's fine to travel to there, but that is really not welcoming to people who, for example, live on the other side of the continent or whatever. Because for them, it becomes like it's expensive for me to go to Amsterdam, let alone for someone who has to book a flight, book a hotel, figure out anything and everything when it comes to making a trip. And I understand why it's just two cities. It is physically easier on the artist and the artists and everyone from the whole tour, the whole tour staff. It's way more easier on them physically, and logistically it's way more easier. I'm not denying this. This is such a big advantage. The problem is, though, that now, because it's so exclusive and so many more people are trying to get tickets to the same exact thing, that means that getting tickets is way harder, but also because of basic economics 101, demand and supply, tickets are, in my opinion, well, I don't want to say unreasonably, because I can assume that creating an entire tour, creating a stage, and paying everyone fairly is very expensive. But to me, the prices are now unattainably high. Basically, now the price range is from 100 to 800 euros. And thinking an 800, like €100 ticket is a nosebleed ticket. Like, you turn around and you see the wall. Whereas, what, 3 years ago, and I get it, inflation, I get it, we've all been hit by inflation. But 3 years ago, I'll be transparent with you, like, this is a lot of money. This really is a lot of money, but put into perspective of current prices, this seems like nothing. But yes, I am reflective that it's a lot of money. So in 2023, I spent €140 for my general admission ticket, and I was literally 10 meters away from the stage. And now that same price point is basically going to send me to a nosebleed that has a different postcode. Um, and I just think that this is super frustrating, because now, for example, for me, this concert is no longer something I can afford, which to me is very saddening, because I am a very passionate fan um, of Harry Styles, and I would love to, like, obviously, yes, I cannot compare myself to someone who has never been able to go and see him live. Like, yes, I have had the chance to see him live, so yeah. But the thing is, when I was little, concerts were unattainable because of geography, and now concerts are unattainable because of finances. And I'm not saying that concert going should be necessarily cheap, but it should be attainable, you know? Like, I shouldn't have to spend a month's rent, if not more, simply so that I can go and enjoy a live show. I really don't think that is fair, because, in my opinion, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's my frontal lobe developing. I don't know if it's just me uh, being more financially constrained now than I was back then. But I just simply cannot justify that expenditure. And I would only go and see Harry Styles only if someone resells tickets for like at a reasonable price point, because I don't want to eat instant noodles for 2 months simply so that I can go and see him. And the thing is, that saying of money is fake, Harry Styles is forever, no longer funny, no longer applicable, because, honey, we are in a recession. And the thing is, the reason I am bringing this up is not to blame Harry Styles. I don't know how much control the artist has over the prices of their tickets. But the reason I am bringing this up is because there is this trend of art becoming more and more exclusive, and art becoming something made for the elite. And I really am not appreciative of this trend, because here's the thing: I know that art has always been an exclusive field. Art has always been expensive, whether you want to go and enjoy someone else's art, whether you want to create art of your own. Art is expensive. Um, but the thing is, art now basically is becoming something only attainable to those who have more than average financial means. And I find this so incredibly sad, because art is such a core part of the human experience. We, whether you would like to admit it or not, whether you're an engineer, whether you're an astronaut, or like whatever. Did I pronounce astronaut correctly? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Don't care. Um, Art is what keeps you going beyond physicality. Culture is such a crucial part of our existence, and we connect over art. We express ourselves over art. Art is basically what speaks to your soul, what speaks to your heart, to your mind, and what makes life within your body easier and fulfilling and better. And the fact that art is now because the thing is, art has never been, unfortunately, something for the masses. In terms of, art has unfortunately always been perceived as highbrow and lowbrow art. But now I feel like this middle ground of accessibility is simply disappearing, and the richer are becoming richer, the poorer are becoming poorer. And it's just so, like, it's, if you consider art to be a core existential part of the human existence, then deprivation of access to art is dehumanizing. And to me, this is so incredibly heartbreaking as someone who is creative in different art forms, as someone who appreciates many art forms. This is sad, because that means that we are now basically leveled down to this. Our existence simply has to equate purely physical existence, because the soulful nurture of our being is eradicated, and it's becoming unattainable, and it's becoming so normalized, because there are obviously die-hard fans, or like people who are willing to give up everything they have in order to go and experience something so valuable as a concert. um, so there are people who would be willing to pay 1,000, if not more, to go and see a concert. But then that means that people who don't have that high of a disposable income don't have access to art that moves them, that makes them feel alive. And I honestly do not think that this is fair, because art and culture shouldn't be exclusive, even though they've always been. And is this is basically us. By us I mean a collective us dictating who has the right to an integral part of the human experience. It is us dictating who has access to a socio-cultural plane of existence. And like I mentioned, to me, it's dehumanizing. And the thing is, art has always been exclusive. But now I feel like art is more and more becoming a product. And art is more about how many tickets you sell, how many downloads you have, how many views you have, how many likes you have, rather than what it truly means to create art and why you create art. Because you simply create art because otherwise you wouldn't be able to survive. So I think that this is very sad. And it's honestly, for me, eradicating the pleasure of concert going and concert culture, which I grew up being excluded from. And now I simply don't have the means to have access to it. So it is very sad, but unfortunately there's nothing I can do. I just honestly feel bad mostly for people who, let's say, talking about Harry Styles, who couldn't go to, let's say, Love on Tour for one reason or another, and they have been waiting for another tour to be announced so that they can go, and now they simply have to choose between whether to pay their rent and sustain themselves physically, or whether to go and see a concert. And no matter how much I like an artist, I, again, I don't know if it's my frontal lobe developing, but I just don't want to go in debt to see them. Um, yeah, which is very sad, but it is what it is. Let me quickly readjust because the not sitting in jeans or not sitting jeaning. Another thing that let's leave this sad part behind. Another thing that I have been dying to talk to you about is one of my most favorite art creations in the recent times. And ladies and gentlemen, girls, gays, and theys, I am obviously talking about heated rivalry. Now, I just want you to know that I have created a 4-page bullet point entry in this Primark notebook that I introduced you to 2 episodes ago, because there are quite a few things I want to cover. And the thing is, with my coverage of what heated rivalry meant to me, I unfortunately, due to time constraints, simply because I need to catch a flight, will not be able to do the full experience justice. I would like to point out that I obviously am interpreting this from my point of view. I am adding my own personal interpretations, and I am connecting the dots according to my lens of interpretation. Um, and I would love to fangirl with you. Fangirl with me. Let's fangirl together. We deserve to be fangirls together. Let's be fangirl besties. Let heated rivalry unite us. Let this be our HR. HR. This is the only HR I can stand behind. Heated rivalry, for me, is a cultural phenomenon. There are hardly ever, or like rarely, series and movies, because the thing is, I know I come on here and I talk about movies a lot because of my dedication to going to the cinema at least once a month, and like coming in here and dissecting every single thing I noticed in the movie. Very rarely am I that deeply touched by a movie or a series. And the last time something touched me so deeply that it lingered, that it changed something in me, was when One Day was released with the Netflix series. I have not uh, read the book yet. I bought the book. I have not seen the movie. And I want to also say that in my interpretation of Heated Rivalry, it is going to be a tad bit superficial because of time constraints. But I also would like you to keep in mind that I have not read the books. I have not read the series. I am only familiar with the TV series. So, for example, the last time, yeah, like I mentioned, I was basically changed for the better, for good, was when One Day was released. I am someone who experiences art very deeply because, like I mentioned, art is an integral part of our existence. I Because of my education, for those of you who don't know, I have a degree in media studies, and today's mic stand is actually one of my textbooks. So I am forever grateful for having that education because it has allowed me to develop an analytical and critical lens through which I view movies or like audiovisual content or textual content, and analyze, like, take into account the fact that there are so many factors which are influencing the construction of this piece and what it may mean for the audience. And I am so grateful for my education that it's allowing me to be appreciative beyond a point of simply, wow, I really liked this. It is allowing me to dissect the stuff. It's allowing me to realize how meaning was constructed. And I am forever grateful for this. Even though my degree may not guarantee employment, at least I am an active audience participant and a meaning making individual. So, when One Day was released, what it changed for me as a person, the reason it lingered was because I had not experienced such a human, raw, emotional story. And I don't mean Connor's story yet. Now we're talking about One Day. One Day, basically, the thing, my biggest takeaway from it was the fact that our time on earth is so incredibly limited, and it is so incredibly unpredictable. And we may be making plans to move in with a partner, we may be making plans to tell someone we love them, but in fact, we don't know if we will get to see, to live in the future of our plan's realization. And what was crucial for me in the construction of One Day was this depiction of how much, because time is our most priceless resource. It is a resource that we have been endowed with without knowing how much we have, without being able to invest something in it to gain some more time. Time is our most valuable resource, as well as health, without us having any guarantee about it, without us having any knowledge about it. And what One Day brought to me as a concept that really stuck with me was the fact that we waste so much time of our so incredibly short lives being scared to be vulnerable, being scared to be emotional, and being scared to be human, being scared to be honest in our vulnerability, with to being scared to be honest in our feelings towards someone. And honestly, I feel like one day changed me in the fact that I am more honest about my feelings now. Honest in front of myself, honest in front of others. And this is life changing, because why should you deprive yourself from experiencing a full spectrum of emotions simply because what someone might think? Or what if things don't work out? Yeah, but what if things work out? And this really, to me, was one of the best advice I've ever received, if we can call it advice. And the other thing that one day really did for me was, and this is going to sound maybe odd and maybe cocky, but one day changed not only the way I feel or express my feelings, but it also changed the way I perceive myself. And yes, heads up, this is going to sound cocky and self absorbed. There is this one scene in which Emma, spoiler alert for those of you who have not seen it, uh, there is this one scene after Emma's passing in which a vision of hers appears to, fuck, what was his name? Dexter. Um, and he's grieving. It is the anniversary of her death, and a vision of hers appears in front of him. And they start talking, and oh, bro, I'm going to cry. Mind you, every single time I watch this series, I cry as if it's the first time I'm experiencing. Oh, fuck, I don't want to cry. I cry as if it's the first time I'm experiencing the story, and as if it's the first time I have feelings, because this series unlocked such a toolkit of emotions that I had been suppressing. I don't want to cry on camera. No, I don't want to be one of those people, but it's okay. It's okay. What did I say? We have to be more honest and vulnerable in our emotionality. Is emotionality a word? I don't know. English is not my first language and I've been having a day, okay? Um but basically, in this one scene, Emma, and I will misquote it, but Emma says something along the lines of that she was so beautiful in her 20s and she didn't appreciate it enough. And then Dexter says, yeah, I did. And sometimes and then she says, sometimes you did, sometimes you didn't. And when I first saw that scene, my heart broke into billions of pieces. Because, and I'm not going to dive deeper into this right now because I want to talk about heated rivalry. Um, I struggle so much with my self image. And I struggle, fuck, I struggle with perceiving myself as beautiful. I struggle with perceiving myself as worthy to be called pretty. Fuck. And I hate the fact, oh shit. I hate the fact that for women specifically, this narrative of beauty is so highly perpetuated that we equate our self worth to what we look like. And the thing is, I cannot control what I look like. Obviously, I can be operated on, but like, there are certain things you cannot change. And like, you shouldn't have to change the way you look in order to perceive yourself as beautiful. And just when I saw that series, like a flip in my brain switched. No, a switch in my brain flipped. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going through something right now. Um, and just, it helped me look in the mirror in a different way, Fuck, I don't want to cry. Stop. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. I know. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Um, yeah, it helped me just look at myself from a different perspective and appreciate the beauty of my 20s and appreciate my beauty as a human, which I had overlooked and had suppressed. And that's why I think I became such an integral part of my life. And I perceive myself as beautiful, not simply because of the way I look, but because of the person I am. And I just, because of this self acceptance that I reached, this self appreciation that was unlocked, I, when I look in the mirror now, I remember very vividly the first moment in which I looked in the mirror without judgment, but simply with acceptance. And then that acceptance turned into appreciation. And now, no matter what I look like, I think I'm beautiful. Even if I'm crying on the internet, even if my hair is greasy, even if uh, I have a breakout, even if, I don't know, like just stupid shit, I still perceive myself as beautiful because beauty is so subjective and physical beauty is fleeting, but beauty doesn't just encapsulate the way I look. And I think because I've been practicing this self-acceptance and I've been working so hard on becoming an integral part of my life, I perceive myself as beautiful. And women, we're so shamed for our beauty, for the fact that we have it, or no, we have it. I've never met someone who's not beautiful. Uh, well, I mean, no matter what you look like, if you're a shitty person, you're not beautiful. I just want to say that. But yeah, we're shamed for our beauty, and did you really have to honk right now as I'm literally crying on the Dirty Martini podcast, 101st episode, like 101 Dalmatians? Did you really have to do that and ruin the vibe? It's giving that one that one meme that's like, I'm not okay. I woke up in a new Bugatti. Never mind. Yeah, so we're so shamed for our beauty, and accepting myself as someone who I shouldn't be ashamed by was a turning point of my life. And it's not a linear path. I struggle so much still. But this, just seeing this, hearing this said out loud in that episode, and it's such a small scene, but it's so meaningful to me. So for me, one day will forever and ever have a special place in my heart. And you know how they say you should read the, I don't know if this is something they say or just my family says, but like that you should read The Little Prince at least once a year, and every single time you read it, you will find something new. That's my opinion of one day. But now, let's go back to Heated Rivalry, because this is not the first time I'm crying about the impact one day had on me on here. And I feel like I should now cry about the impact Heated Rivalry had on me. Because, so the way one day made me feel is the way Heated Rivalry made me feel. And in between those, the releases of these two series, I have experienced moving and like poignant art, but not to that extent. And that's why I think Heated Rivalry really lingered and stayed. And no, I don't think you understand. I'm obsessed. Because basically, first of all, from a media perspective, I am so incredibly thankful for the representation that this series nurtures. I've talked about this before. Representation in media is not about solely about whether there is representation or not. What is crucial in the presence of representation is how that representation is constructed. And I am so incredibly happy to finally, well, I mean, if I'm sure there are many more um, series and books and stories like these, but what is oftentimes perpetuated as a narrative is that the queer person is not a main character. And the other stereotype is that, or trope, so to say, is that of a queer relationship always ending with one of the people dying or them breaking up or just not a happy ending in terms of the relationship. And this series having a happy ending, at least season one, season two is in the making. I cannot wait, but I will wait. Having a good representation, well constructed representation of characters who you see not simply as queer and they're defined by their queerness, but they're simply human who happen to be queer. Like, you don't, they're not the stereotypical trope of a queer character, and they're just portrayed as humans. Um, Having that type of representation with a trope that doesn't end with one of them dying, or at least, I don't know, I've not read the series, but I assume not, um, is so incredibly beneficial. And it is such a step forward. And it's something that should have been already happening, but unfortunately, it doesn't. And I think what is crucial is that because for those of you who don't know, Heated Rivalry focuses on these two hockey players. There's other hockey players who also develop a relationship, but the main two characters are Ilya Gozanov and Shane Hollander, who are two hockey players who play for opposing teams, and they develop an 8-year long situationship, and they have to hide their relationship from the world because of homophobia. And what I think is crucial in the construction of this representation is the fact that there is representation. Hockey is perceived as a very masculine sport, typically. And in sport, there's still so much homophobia. And portraying queer characters in a male dominated field and them not losing their manliness is what's crucial for stepping outside those boundaries that have been imposed on what it means to be an athlete. And what I find extremely crucial to point out is that, yes, a lot of straight women find this story of queerness extremely appealing and touching and moving, not because of the visuals in terms of beautiful actors, but because what is finally depicted is a manhood, manliness that does not oppose itself to vulnerability and emotionality. Again, I don't know if emotionality is a word. Basically, the series depicts the fact that one can become more manly, or one does not necessarily lose any part of their manhood if they're emotional and they're honest about their emotions. And I think this is why it's so appealing to straight women who, by the way, like, this also is a romance trope, and women and just, yeah, people who are consumers of the romance trope and smutty books or whatever have been shamed forever simply because they want to experience a story in which a character is loved the way they want to be loved and the way they deserve to be loved. And to me, this is a reflection of the fact that, and I'm speaking in terms of women right now, not on behalf of all women, but like if I consume a story about romance, it's because, oh, I want to see a romance that's not toxic. That's, well, most of them, a lot of them are toxic. That is a trope that's very popular. But basically, experience a story of love that does not diminish your importance in love. You don't erase yourself in that love. And to be mocked for loving a love story, I think is more telling of the mocker rather than the mocked one. But, anyways, so Heated Rivalry, beautiful depiction, beautiful visuals. I think the actors did an impeccable job, especially now with me consuming, like, Hudson Williams and Connor Story are my personal dear friends. I have not been that parasocial in such a long time, but not in a creepy way at all. It's just, I'm so appreciative of them being so authentic and unapologetically themselves. And I am begging to every single god out there that they do not get media trained. I we have been deprived of, see, the thing is, in the movie industry there's a lot of nepotism and there's a lot of familiar faces, and these two, my dear friends, are such fresh blood, so to speak. There's such a breath of fresh air, and they're shaking up the scene, and I'm so excited to see what's to come for them. And I'm sure they have a lot to achieve, and they will achieve it, and I'm so happy for them. And I am stunned by their acting performance, because seeing their content outside of their characters, they couldn't be farther from the characters that they portray. And the fact that they portray them so impeccably, to me, is a testament to the talent, the hard work, the work ethic, and the overall beauty and talent in their work. And I am amazed. Can I just say, Connor's story. Now the thing is, I don't speak Russian. I speak a Slavic language. I don't speak Russian. To me, that man conveyed the Slavic man so impeccably. I was like, wow, wow. That is, I was stunned. I obviously don't speak Russian. I don't know if he has an accent or not, but he made the Russian sound very, what I perceive to be Russian. So he has my Slavic approval. I honestly was taken aback by the fact that he actually is not Slavic, because he looks Slavic, and I know what Slavic looks like. I see Slavic when I look in the mirror. So Connor's story, I know this has been pointed out many times, but, and here's the thing, that man is a native English speaker. Russian is a language that has nothing to do with the English language. Slavic languages and Germanic languages are just not compatible in terms of grammar, of structure, alphabet. So the fact that at this age, and I'm not saying that he's old, it's just like learning a completely different language is easier when you're younger, as a child, for example, rather than after you've developed yourself as an adult. Learning a language that uses a different alphabet, belongs to a different language family, has a completely different sound to it. Learning that and being able to communicate in that is so incredibly impressive. And I know that he has been given his flowers for that many times, but I want to do it as well, because as someone who speaks a Slavic language, I know that our languages can be very daunting to people who, and they're way more complicated grammar structure wise or like sound wise compared to the English language. So the fact that he put this effort and the fruition was so wow, amazing, amazing. Shout out to you, King. Shout out to you. But yeah, heated rivalry. I couldn't binge because I had to study for my exams. But basically, I want to quickly cover a few points and then I want to dive deeper into what to me is an Oscar worthy scene. So, first of all, everybody talks about the visuals of the series, okay? Everybody talks about the spicy scenes or whatever, or like the beauty of the actors. I want you to notice the visuals of the series. Notice the cinematography. When we talk about color, when you look at the first episodes and you compare them to the last few ones, and especially the last episode, the series starts out with very dark, very cool undertones and colors. And then it progressively becomes warmer and warmer and warmer until the last episode is basically yellows and goldens all throughout. And to me, this is symbolic of the coldness of being in the shade and being hiding from who you truly are and hiding who you truly love, to then the progression to self acceptance and vulnerability, honesty in your feelings. It's basically a visual narration of the step by step process of self acceptance. And these warm colors at the end are meant to signify, according to me, what it means to be self accepting and self loving, and to be honest in your love to your partner who you haven't been fully transparent with for one reason or another. Then, when you look at the very first scene of the very first episode, you see Ilya Gozanov trying to light his cigarette. And he's trying, and he's trying, and he's trying. And it's simply unsuccessful. There is no flame, there is no spark that will light his cigarette. The second Shane goes to introduce himself, he does this, and the light, like the lighter, is immediately turned on. The flame immediately exists. There is an immediate spark, and he successfully manages to light his cigarette simply because through Shane's introduction of himself in Ilya's life, we have an instance of connection, an instance of spark. And I know you may be thinking, Martina, you're reading way too much into it. No, babe, you're not reading enough into it. Because that's the thing. In the creation of an audiovisual product, there is nothing that is not deliberate. Every single thing is created to serve a certain purpose. And that's why, for example, because as far as I'm aware, the series was offered to a larger production company or streaming platform. I don't know exactly. And they were okay with developing the product with the series, but through different like on different conditions. But the director, Jacob Tierney, said that he's not okay with this because he wants to develop the story the way he wants to develop that story. So he went to a smaller studio in Canada that gave him way less money but allowed him to create the narrative that he wanted to construct. And this again relates to money and art. Expensive art doesn't necessarily translate to good art. Art is meant to speak to the soul. It is meant the creator of the art, in this case, Jacob Tierney. He was not willing to compromise with his narration, principles, interpretation of the story, and I respect that immensely because art is created by the artist for the artist. Art is a physical need, it is a cultural need, it is a need of the soul, of the mind, of the body, of the heart. And the fact that he did not compromise those principles and values for more money is something I immensely respect. So for me, heated rivalry, not simply because it is a massive phenomenon right now, to me, heated rivalry is such an incredible cinematographic masterpiece. And I mean it wholeheartedly. Because, for example, and what I wanted to say about colors in the last episode, you see them when they're going to the village, they're hiding, they're wearing, what are they wearing? Sunglasses. Or what is another name for sunglasses? Shades, because they're hiding in the shade. And at the end, after Shane comes out to his parents, you don't see glasses anymore. They're not in the shade anymore. They're embracing the warmth of the spotlight and the sun, and their love finally sees the sun. And that's what I mean by everything is deliberate. Everything is meant to serve a purpose, and the little details are aiding the creation of the narrative. And heated rivalry, before I dive into my analysis of the club scene, I would just like to say what heated rivalry meant to me. Heated rivalry gave me hope. And I know this may sound odd at first, but hear me out. There is a lot of darkness in our world right now. There is a lot of miscommunication right now between people, and heated rivalry basically gave me the hope that I am lovable and that I will be loved the way I deserve to be loved, and I will love the way I deserve to love, and it will be reciprocated. And I know you may be thinking like, oh, that's a stretch, babe. That's just the way I feel. And it's just basically because the thing is, yes, they are in a situationship, but let's be reflective of the fact that they are in a situationship simply because of homophobia, and they're closeted, or like they are trying to avoid losing their careers. But if you're in a situationship, babe, maybe it's because they don't like you enough to commit to you. So to me, this series really played into the idea that love shouldn't have to be a constant fight. And love shouldn't have to be something experienced in the corner, in the shade. Love should be embraced. And while love is something that you fight for, love itself shouldn't be a battlefield. Love itself shouldn't be a war. It shouldn't be a fight. And I'm not saying that every single thing in relationships goes perfect. That's unrealistic. What I'm saying is that relationships require compromise. But once you know that you're in it because you love the person, rather than when your partner is more important than your ego, I feel like this is what the series is trying to convey. It gave me hope that loving and being loved is possible with all your quirks, with all your initial incompatibility. Love can be found in everyone, or at least or also in the person you least suspect. So it gave me hope. It gave me hope for my future because I know love exists, because I know how much I'm capable of loving the people around me. But it gave me the notion that this love can, will, and deserves to be reciprocated. And that's why I think it's such a human story. That's why I think it's such an important story. And I really think everybody should experience that series and look at it beyond the beautiful visuals. And what I want to talk about quickly is, I don't know if I'll be able to do it quickly, is the club scene. The club scene in Heated Rivalry is a cinematographic masterpiece. The club scene in Heated Rivalry deserves an Oscar, a Tony, a Golden Globe. It deserves a Grammy. It deserves, for all I care, the Nobel Peace Prize. It deserves the Nobel Prize for chemistry and physics, considering the way it made me feel. To me, this is the best scene in movie history I have ever encountered. And when I first watched it, I was so taken aback. I rewatched that scene over and over and over again. And every single time, it just unlocks this emotionality. Again, I don't know if emotionality is a word in me. And it touches me in ways that I'm like, that my heart didn't know it could be touched. This is the type of scenes, this is the type of audiovisual material that basically conveys to you the fact that movies are not simply a commercial product. Movies are art and they speak from the soul. And I have a few notes about that scene. I will try to be as brief as possible, but guys, that scene altered my brain chemistry. Please, please, I am begging you, watch it. For me, this was the most emotional scene in the entire series, and not a single word was spoken. The way emotions and feelings were conveyed through the use of cinematography, through the use of color, of light, of music, of sound, just, I am stunned. I am taken aback. And Jacob Tierney, I bow in front of your mastery, because this, what you created, deserves to be displayed in the Louvre. That scene, there's so many aspects. I don't even know where to start. Basically, they Shane and Ilya, without knowing that they're both going to the same place, are going to the same club. And Ilya only finds out that Shane is there after he sees Rose's friend, and he knows that Rose is Shane's girlfriend. And Shane only realizes that Ilya is there after seeing Ilya's teammate. So they vicariously learn about each other's presence there, and they start seeking each other. And the thing is, Ilya, when he sees Rose's friend, forgive me, I forgot the character's name. Um, when he sees that friend, he just turns around because he knows that character is looking at Shane and Rose. He knows what he's going to find, but he looks anyway. And then Shane looks at the teammate and just starts scanning the place to find Ilya. And just what I find impeccable in this scene is the use of color. So it is a scene in a club. Obviously, there are lights, there are colors that are changing. It's like, a club. We're clubbing, we're clubbing, we're clubbing. And it's well paced, regular pace, like no abrupt movements of the lights initially. The tempo is constant, the pace is constant, um, and it's red and blue lights. The second Shane sees Ilya, and at this point, Ilya is making out and dancing with this girl who he saw and decided to go after. After seeing Shane make out, or like, well, dance. He didn't make out. Dance with Rose as, payback. So the second Shane sees Ilya, the lights start flickering faster and faster and faster and faster. And this, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, is meant to represent Shane's heartbeat, because it's normal, it's steady, and then when he sees Ilya, it's just like this. And it's his heart rate is through the roof, and he becomes nervous. And now when we look at the symbolism of color, we have blue. Blue normally is meant to symbolize in different contexts calmness, reliability. It is meant to be relaxing. It's meant to symbolize serenity. It through its symbolism of stability, it also implies trust. It implies credibility. It implies wisdom. But then on the other hand, blue is also representative of sadness, depression, coldness, and vulnerability. Then, when you look at red, red on the positive side represents love, passion, life in terms of blood, energy. And maybe you can also argue fire in terms of passion. But on the other hand, red also symbolizes anger, frustration, fury, blood, but this time around as in bleeding out, losing life, fire in terms of destruction. And then the parallels that begin in this scene between Shane and Ilya. And you see Shane going upstairs after Rose to sleep with her. Upstairs, meaning that for him, it's an uphill battle. And then you see Ilya masturbating or pleasing himself in the bathroom. Both those scenes have very yellow colors. What does the yellow symbolize? Yellow, on the positive side, symbolizes happiness, warmth, sun, opportunity, and creativity. Yellow, on the flip side, on the negative side, symbolizes sickness, it symbolizes jealousy, it symbolizes disloyalty, it symbolizes caution, yellow, stop. It symbolizes danger, and it symbolizes cowardice or being a coward. And I just want you to notice the fact that they use red, blue, and yellow, which are the primary colors through after the mixing of which every other color is developed. And when we talk about colors, I would like you also, when watching the scene, to notice that Shane and Ilya are wearing white, and they are against a dark black or dark bluish blackish background. What is white in physics? White is the collection of all colors. What is black? Black is the absence of colors. It is a void. So they are the encapsulation of every single color against a void. and they're so colorful. And just like this interpretation of the positive and the negative symbolism of blue, red, and yellow, as an interplay of emotions, as an interplay of positivity and hope and negativity and distrust, disloyalty, um, betrayal, is just done impeccably. And I I've never seen anything like this. And I'm so taken aback by the way color is utilized throughout the whole series, but especially in this scene. And then when you look at the music, so you hear at first all the things she said by Tattoo, and then you hear the second Shane sees Ilya, it switches to all the things she said by Harrison. And when Shane is making out with Rose and in the club, and he's basically having a threesome, three-way kiss in the club, but then he's also having sex with Rose, and then Ilya is making out with this girl he met at the club. All you hear is all the things she said running through my head. This is not enough, because no matter who Shane is with, they're not enough because they're not Ilya. No matter who Ilya is with, they're not enough because they're not Shane. And it's in one of those moments that is very like Tumblr quote that is like, oh, when you're happy, you enjoy the music, and when you're sad, you realize what the lyrics are about. Yeah, honestly.
Hi guys, this is Traveling Me just chiming in. First of all, I know how I look, okay? I am well aware of the way I look. If you want to be well aware of why I look the way I look, just tune in next week, because I genuinely fear that I am cursed when it comes to traveling, and every single time I travel, everything has to go to shit and whatever. But the reason I am chiming in is because I have something to add. Um, Basically, when it comes to the music, what I forgot to mention when I was recording the episode is the fact that actually what I think is so beautifully curated is the lyrics, because the lyrics just fits the plot so incredibly well. And what I mean by that is slight diva, you can hear a diva coming in. What I mean by that is, okay, I had to move because, as shameless as I am, I just cannot be seen talking about heated rivalry at 4 a.m. in Amsterdam while looking the way I look, whatever. What I wanted to say is that I think the lyrics encapsulate their relationship so beautifully, because the lyrics just says, being with you has opened my eyes. And like basically being with Ilya has opened Shane's eyes to who he actually is. And then what does the lyric actually say? Something along the lines of wishing we could go somewhere else so that it's just the two of us, blah blah blah. I'm misinterpreting it, misquoting it so hard right now. I'm sorry. I am running on a 0 hours of sleep and barely any hope left in my body. But basically, what is the place that they want to escape to so that it can be just the two of them, so that they can be free? The cottage. So shout out to Jacob Tierney yet again at 4 a.m. from Amsterdam Centraal. Anyways, back to the actual rant, the original one.
And just the switch from female voices to male voices, and you're immediately in Shane's head, and just the way the timing, the pacing of the scene is developed, moving from very fast paced, very crowded mise en scène to then having slow motion, and they're as if they're the only ones who are still, because as if time stopped for them and every other person is dancing. This, I want this scene to be etched into my mind, etched into my heart, played at my funeral. I, wow, 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 wow. Just this is not enough for them. And then all the things she said are running through his head, and the next episode he comes out to her. I'm sorry, but I will never shut up about the genius of heated rivalry, the cinematography. I will never shut up about that club scene, because that club scene changed me for better, for good. And sometimes I'm not even watching the series currently. Sometimes I have it downloaded on my laptop. Sometimes I just open that episode to play that scene because I'm so taken aback by its construction and its development. And wow. Wow, wow, wow. Bravo. To me, again, this is the Hall of Fame of TV show scenes. I am taken aback. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that I'm missing out on in my interpretation of this scene. But guys, I really need to get ready for my flight. So I want to thank you all so much for listening, for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, watch Heated Rivalry, share your opinions with me, stay hydrated, wear sunscreen, and don't support genocide. Bye.